Dear students, today we will start the third chapter of Moments, Class 9 English Supplementary textbook, Supplementary book, Eswaran the Storyteller. So, as the title goes, you know it pretty well, Eswaran, who is the storyteller. So, what kind of story does he tell? What it is about? Or what are the stories about? Let's see how it goes. It's a very interesting story. I want you to be very attentive while we continue with the chapter. It's a very interesting one. So let us start. What about you? Let's start and see how it goes. One night, Mohendra woke up from his sleep and saw a dark, cloudy form. He broke out into a cold sweat. Was it a ghost? The story was narrated to Ganesh by a young man, Mohendra by name. He was a junior supervisor in a firm which offered to hire supervisors at various types of construction sites, factories, bridges, dams, and so on. Mohendra's job was to keep an eye on the activities at the work site. He had to keep moving from place to place every now and then as ordered by his head office. From a coal mining area to a railway bridge construction site, from thereafter a few months to a chemical plant which was coming up somewhere. So you see, this story that we are going to read, it was narrated to Ganesh by a young man, and his name was Mohendra. He was actually a junior supervisor. You know junior and senior. So he was a junior supervisor. Now supervisor means what you know? A person who supervises or observes things, and as I shared word notes on different chapters earlier, you can have a look at it what it actually means. A person whose job is to check the work of all other people, and bachelor means a person who is unmarried. Okay, so he was a junior supervisor in a firm which offered on hire, you understand, we hire people to do some work like on contract. So on hire supervisors at various types of construction sites like factories, bridges, dams, and so on. Now Mohendra's job was to do what? Was to keep an eye on the activities at the work site. He had to keep moving from one place to another place every now and then, very frequently, as ordered by his head office. So the movement was quite uncertain, not sure where he would be going next. It might be from a coal mine area to a railway bridge construction site, or from thereafter in few months to a chemical plant which was coming up somewhere else, means which was being built up. So it's like it's like his job was certain, but where he will be like rendering his service, it's not certain. He had to move from one place to another. Now what happened there next? He was a bachelor, as I told, a person who is unmarried. His needs were simple, and he was able to adjust himself to all kinds of odd conditions, whether it was an ill-equipped circuit house or a makeshift canvas tent in the middle of a stone quarry. But one asset he had was his cook, Eswaran. The cook was quite attached to Mohendra and followed him uncomplainingly wherever he was posted. He cooked for Mohendra, washed his clothes, chatted away with his master at night. He could weave out endless stories and anecdotes on varied subjects. Eswaran also had an amazing capacity to produce vegetables and cooking ingredients seemingly out of nowhere, in the middle of a desolate landscape with no shops visible for miles around. He would miraculously conjure up the most delicious dishes made with fresh vegetables within an hour of arriving at the zinc sheet shelter at the new workplace. So you see, Eswaran was a bachelor, and so a bachelor's needs are not so it's not like he doesn't maintain a superfluous life and all. And as an ordinary fellow like that, he had also like his needs are very simple, and he was able to adjust himself to all kinds of odd conditions even. whether he was since his job was not certain where he would be going to render service next, so he would do what, his pattern was like he was in a position to adjust himself to any situation wherever he was posted, whether it was an ill-equipped circuit house or a makeshift canvas tent, you understand, like tents, you must have seen people who are on mountain trekking or some other kind of activities. They make temporary settlements or temporary houses using canvas, so like that. So what is there, canvas tent in the middle of a stone quarry. And quarry, I told you that day. Still, let's continue. Let's have a look. Quarry means mines. A simple word for quarry is mine, and makeshift is temporary. Okay, let's see. So, but one asset, one property he had was his cook Eswaran. So we can now answer who was Eswaran. Eswaran was Mohendra's cook. So was his cook Eswaran. The cook was quite attached, very close to Mohendra, and followed him uncomplainingly wherever he was posted. So even you must have seen the pattern of his posting. It's like quite uncertain and all, but this Eswaran, the cook, always followed him, always went with him without any complaint. He cooked for Mohendra, washed his clothes, chatted away with his master, like gossiped a lot with his master at night. And more importantly, he could like make endless stories and anecdotes on varied subjects, on different subjects. Now you need to know the meaning of anecdotes. Have a look. The word anecdote means a short, amusing, or interesting story about a real incident or person. Clear? Desolate means uninhabited or empty. Okay. So, what was there, The cook was quite attached to Mohendra, so it's there. He could weave out endless stories and anecdotes on varied subjects. Eswaran also had an amazing capacity. What was that capacity? Capacity to produce vegetables and cooking ingredients, seemingly out of nowhere in the middle of a desolate landscape, lonely, empty landscape area with no shops visible for miles around. With so desolate, so lonely that you won't find a single shop for miles around it. He would miraculously conjure up the most delicious dishes made with fresh vegetables within an hour of arriving at the Jingshit shelter at the new workplace. So what is said here? Eswaran also had an amazing capacity to produce vegetables and cooking ingredients. And it was like from a place where it appeared almost impossible to arrange, he could arrange there. Even in the middle of, if it appeared like the place is very lonely, you cannot find anything there, even there also he would prepare delicious dish for you, even just within arriving, within an hour of arrival to that new place. Clear? Arriving at the Jingshit shelter. Jingshit shelter actually refers to what? Like metallic, light metallic shelter and all, like that you see. Jink sheet shelter means a temporary place to live with the roof made of metallic sheets. A temporary place to live with the roof made of metallic sheets. Okay, let's continue again. Mohendra would be up early in the morning and leave for work after breakfast, carrying some prepared food with him. Meanwhile, Eswaran would tidy up the shed, wash the clothes, and have a leisurely bath, pouring several buckets of water over his head, muttering a prayer all the while. It would be lunchtime by then. After eating, he would read for a while before dozing off. The book was usually some popular Tamil thriller running to hundreds of pages. Its imaginative descriptions and narrative flourishes would hold Sharon in thrall. So what happened? Mohendra would be up early in the morning. He would wake up early in the morning and leave for work after breakfast. That was Mohendra's kind of job. he used to carry prepared food also with him. And after that, so it was done by Mohendro, Ishwaran. It was done by Ishwaran. The food was prepared by Ishwaran. Now, after Mohendro had gone, Ishwaran would do what? He would tidy up, clean up the shed, wash the clothes, and then he would have a very leisurely bath. You know, no tension, nothing there, no pressure, no push factor or pull factor. So he was there to take bath leisurely, pouring some buckets of water over his head and muttering a prayer all the time. By then it would be lunchtime, and after eating, he would do what? He would read for a while before dozing off. Now, dozing off, like a nap sort of thing, or you just feel sleepy. What happens when you are asked to read at night? While you read, you just doze off. Okay, so many of you, not all. So what happens there? After eating, he would read for a while before dozing off. The book was, and what he would read? He would usually read some popular Tamil thriller book. You understand thriller? Like books, those come up with, some sort of tense plot and all, where you are never sure what's going to happen next, and it's full of risk, doubt, secrecy, everything is there. So he would read such thrilling books, and these books are not ordinary books. Said that the books thriller running to hundreds of pages. Moreover, its imaginative descriptions and narrative that flourishes would hold Ishwaran in thrall. He will be excited, quite excited, what's going to happen next. Just see. Narrative flourishes means detailed descriptions, and enthrall means the state of being in someone's power, captivated. Okay, he felt as if he was, the books were so interesting that he felt captivated. He got almost in control of the book, like he could not leave it apart, he had to read like that. His own descriptions were greatly influenced by the Tamil authors that he read. Even when he described things, he was also, since he read books, this made his description also very touching. So his own descriptions were greatly influenced by the Tamil authors that he read. When he was narrating even the smallest of incidents, he would try to work in suspense and a surprise ending into the account. You must have seen some people who are very good at narrating things. Ishwaran was one such fellow. For example, instead of saying that he had come across an uprooted tree on the highway, he would say, with eyebrows suitably arched and hands held out in a dramatic gesture, the road was deserted and I was all alone. Suddenly, I spotted something that looked like an enormous bushy beast lying sprawled across the road. I was half inclined to turn and go back. But as I came closer, I saw that it was a fallen tree with its dry branches spread out. Mohendra would stretch himself back in his canvas chair and listen to Ishwaran's tales uncritically. So that was the speciality. You see, his own descriptions are very much influenced by the descriptions of the thrillers. And so, even when if he saw an ordinary thing like an uprooted tree, he won't tell it that I saw an uprooted tree. His description would come up with some suspense, some thrill, and all. And a dramatic gesture, movement of body, hands, and this and that, eyebrows making positions, as if it was really a fearsome thing. So you would say that the road was all alone and I was alone. There was nobody on the road and I was all alone. And suddenly I spotted something that looked like a huge bushy beast. A beast with bush and all. Bushy beast. Lying spread eagled or lying spread just across the road. I was half inclined. I almost felt like, no, I should go back. I should not. But as I went closer, I saw, no, it's nothing of the kind. It's a fallen tree with its dry branches spread out. And Mohendra would listen to it in his sitting or lying himself or stretching himself in the canvas chair and listen to Ishwaran's tales uncritically, without any critical comment. That's all. let's move on to the next video for the next episode. Thank you.